With so much unrest and so much fear within the Jewish community, most of these pro-Palestinian protests erupt in violence. There's there's hate that's called out, and I think...
No, they don't, because I have to be clear on this, they don't erupt in violence.
Well, there is a lot of hate. I mean, they're looking
let's
for
not gloss over. Let's not
wearing...
gloss over it. You have to accept that you cannot say they always erupt into violence when they categorically don't. If that's the basis of your position, then your position becomes untenable immediately.
There is hate. Would you not agree with that?
There's hate everywhere. There's hate on the West Bank at the moment. You've seen what the American Secretary of...
Can I say anything?
Yes, of course you can, as long as it's true.
LBC's James O'Brien debates a caller on the recent protests around the world.
I mean, there are no Jewish people that would feel comfortable to go into a Palestinian protest. And even the word
there were Jewish people on it. There were Jewish people on the march.
This is true, and there are many. From outside the UK Foreign Office. Jewish protesters at Grand Central Station made their voices heard. Holocaust survivors spoke up for Palestine in Washington, D.C.
You know, when the Nazis gassed the Jews, the world was silent. Now, the world is silent while the Jews or the Israelis harass, humiliate, and steal away land from the Palestinians. And the world is silent.
The late Dr. Hayo Meyer, a survivor of Auschwitz, also spoke up for Palestinian rights. To label O'Brien's caller aloof would be an understatement.
It is very scary. It is very scary.
No, I'm not disputing that you're scared. I'm just disputing your claim that it always erupts into violence and that Jewish people would be too scared to attend to demonstrate their sympathy for Palestinian people being killed. Because neither of those things are true.
It has a much angrier tone.
Well, there is huge anger about all the Palestinians being killed, just as there was huge anger about all the Israelis killed on October the 7th. You must have been angry. You must have been angry.
I was devastated.
Okay.
It was heartbreaking.
Well, I was angry.
As O'Brien does, he shows the hypocrisy for all to see.
If I'm allowed to be angry about the killing of Israelis, why can't I be angry about the killing of Gazans? Why can't people march in anger at the killing of Palestinians?
It's about compassion. That's the difference.
Okay. So how do people show their compassion?
She wouldn't answer this question and in turn pivot to this.
The anger then channels into anti-Israel. But
and when you say anti-Israel, you could say anti-Israeli army, anti-Likud.
But that's not true.
Well, I don't know that you can read the minds of everybody.
She then asked if O'Brien had seen a recent video where the basis is this.
Video that he's explaining how sometimes actually anti-Zionism is the new anti-Semitism. How it's changed over from the Middle East.
You're going a little bit off message now because what we're talking...
You're saying that it's not anti-Israel, it's also
anti-Semitic.
I'm
not. I'm saying you can't read anybody's mind. There are plenty of people in Israel who've got huge problems with what is going on. Are they anti-Semitic?
And that's what I believe Suella Braverman.
Are they anti-Semitic?
We're going to circle back on this momentarily.
But I haven't heard any pro-Palestinian march that's come out to condemn Hamas.
Well, how much attention have you been paying? How many of them have you spoken to?
Plenty.
Really?
Yeah, it's very interesting having conversations.
But you were too frightened to attend. You were too frightened to attend.
But I would never go to a protest.
So when did you talk to them?
Other people.
So when did you talk to them?
I've spoken to individuals.
Yeah, when?
With their opinions.
When?
Over the last couple of weeks.
How?
And there's always an excuse.
But how have you spoken to these? How have you spoken? No, of course you can't. Not if you're going to come on my radio and say things that aren't true.
He got her, and then she continues to ramble.
Where is your expression? I know you would avail yourself of this opportunity, your compassion for the people being killed in Gaza now.
Absolutely. I said that straight away. I said that earlier on. I said, I do not want to see any innocent civilians, and it's horrific, and it's heartbreaking, and I read an article.
So would you call for it to end then?
I would call for Israel to do whatever it can to
Well, you can't have it both ways, can you?
It's called self-defense.
Okay, well, that's not called compassion then. Got there in the end.
It is compassion, of course there is compassion.
Well, no, because the people marching are calling for a ceasefire, and you're calling for it to continue, while complaining that that other people aren't being compassionate. So the people calling for the killing to end are the angry ones, who are causing fear, and you calling for it to continue are the compassionate one. Do you see where you've ended up, Anna?
No, but
No,
Israel
you
could
probably
have
don't.
Meanwhile, on her point that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, it's not. It's just not.
I am an anti-Zionist Jew. Israel says it's the state for Jews. Well, let's start with the fact that, one, not all Jews live there, and two, the majority of its citizens are not Jewish. I've been there. It's an apartheid system. I was allowed to use one road while other people weren't. I was allowed to have water while other people weren't. Not right. The time I was there was in 2017. I went to El Khalil, which everyone else calls Hebron. I refuse to call it that. I was in Ramallah. I went to the Kalandia checkpoint. I see what happens. I went to the Waldorf Hotel. This has been a lifelong resistance for me. It's something that I chose to do since I was 16 years old when I saw this cannot be. So yes, I know the intricacies, and when people say it's complicated and don't get involved, it's too challenging. No, it's not. It's very easy.
From the great Dave Zirin, Zionism is a 125-year-old political philosophy that has solidified into the idea that Jews need their own ethno-state. The nation of Israel has been around for only 75 years. This conflation of anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism isn't about protecting Jews. It is a way of isolating, shaming, and even ruining individuals who oppose the war agenda of the Israeli state. It is a way to chill the actions of budding activists who are against racism, against apartheid, and against the logic that has brought us to the brink of a Palestinian genocide. Similarly, to say that anti-Semitism is anti-Zionism is also a way of communicating the idea that Jews are by definition Zionists. This is dangerous and anti-Semitic, branding Jewish people as supporters of Israel's war on Gaza, no matter our personal politics. Its assertion also pours gasoline on the fires of anti-Semitism by creating a savagely unfair guilt by association. As Jews, we have an obligation to make clear in our own communities that anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism, and that the calls for a ceasefire shouldn't be feared but embraced. We are already doing this at demonstrations around the world, and it marks a profound political shift. An entire generation of young Jews are feeling forced to choose between their progressive principles and support for Israel's total war, and they are choosing their principles. Through organizations like Jewish Voice for Peace, and If Not Now, Jewish youth are looking at Israel's human rights violations and saying clearly, not in our name.